civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Joe, I already have a chore for you, some homework. You gotta find the Charlton Heston video from Planet of the Apes when they're walking through the desert and finally find water. And Charlton Heston gets in the water by the waterfall. The other two astronauts get in. They're happy. They're in the desert. They're happy to get in the water. But Charlton Heston was like, makes William Shatner look like he's a passive asleep actor. No. William Shatner's not melodramatic at all. Charlton Heston is, that scene is the most melodramatic acting in the history of Hollywood. I swear, he gets in the water and they're just like, Charlton, I mean, I think they said, cut. Man, you're making too many noises. You know, literally. You're making too many noises. Like, I want it to be like mankind, his first experience with water from an amoeba. You know, it's just insane. I hope you can find that, Joe. I landed on the original Planet of the Apes like 6 months ago from the beginning. And I watched like up until that part when he got in the water, all of that. And I started laughing and I rewound it and I watched it a second time and chuckled to myself. I think I was alone too. I don't think I was with anyone. And I laughed out loud, I think. So melodramatic, just over the top. The director just had to roll his eyes and go, cut, okay, move on to the missile scene where we're praying to the bomb. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Yes, believe it or not, this is a radio program. Miss Brenda's with us on the show. So, Miss Brenda, the cat's been up in the tree how long? And the cat won't come down. Now, believe it or not, it is a talk radio program. I laugh, Joe, because about 20 years ago, I pulled over and listened to that on local talk radio. I'm not going to name the show host, but he was talking to some woman, and I went inside a store and came back out, and it was 20 minutes later still talking to the woman about a cat stuck in a tree. And I don't think at that time, like in the past, how traumatic it was. Yes, it actually is a talk radio program that's simulcast on television. Thanks so much for finding us. We do it every weekday afternoon, 4 p.m., 2 big hours. That means till 6 o'clock. Oh, so fine. 93.9 FM, our radio home. Oh, so fine. 93.9 FM. You can also check us out on New Orleans' own 107.9 FM. 107.9 FM. 600 AM, this powerful, sneaky little under-the-radar AM station. That signal goes from like Baton Rouge up and down the I-10, I-12 corridor into southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, panhandle of Florida. Take us on the road, 600 AM, weekday afternoon starting at 4. The first 90 minutes of the 2-hour talk radio program simulcast on television. Cox Channel 4 television, Yorview, Louisiana, as they call it. Cox Channel 4, if you're a Cox subscriber, you've got Cox Channel 4. I'm there every weekday afternoon, Cox Channel 4, weekdays at 4 for 90 minutes till 5:30. You Charter television subscribers, a.k.a. Spectrum. Spectrum Channel 333, 4 to 5:30 weekdays. You can find out all this radio, TV stuff, and also live streaming, CoreyTalks.com. Corey spelled K-A-A-R-E, CoreyTalks.com. You can email us, Corey@CoreyTalks.com. Fire that Joe guy. He's stealing from you. He's drinking on the job. Tell him to quit smoking 6 packs of cigarettes a day. You can check us out on YouTube, The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson. Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It doesn't cost anything. Hey, the 4 o'clock hour this afternoon brought to you by Blue Plate Mayonnaise. Some of you are having trouble finding Blue Plate mayonnaise on your grocery shelf. It's there. But that old traditional label no longer exists. That label you know and grew up with for generations, that label is gone. But that great legendary Blue Plate mayonnaise, that flavor, that taste you grew up with for generations, since 1927, 95 years, simple, time-honored recipe, oil, vinegar, only the egg yolks. Makes Blue Plate extra rich, extra creamy. New Orleans mayonnaise, Blue Plate mayonnaise, new look, same legendary taste. The same Blue Plate mayonnaise you love, just a different label. Look for it at Rouse's, your grocery store shelf. It's there. New look, same legendary taste, Blue Plate mayonnaise. 4 o'clock hour this afternoon. Brought to you by Blue Plate mayonnaise, New Orleans own. It is a Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Yeah, you right. Some people say, yeah, you wrong. Fridays with Fletcher Mackel coming up in less than 10 minutes. Some people say Mackel, Fletcher Mackel. Actually, no one does, but we might tease him and say it. Fletcher joins us in a few minutes. Towards the top of this hour, around 4:50-ish, Michael Hecht, about 30 minutes away or so, from Greater New Orleans, Inc. Michael Hecht's going to join us in the 5 o'clock power hour on this Fantasy Friday. Frank Brigtsen will join us. Frank Brigtsen from his restaurant in the Riverbend, the Carrollton section of Uptown. Love Frank Brigtsen. What a great guy. James Beard award-winning chef, yet so cool, so laid back, so humble. Frank will join us from the Riverbend area. Speaking of, friend and company fine jewelers, 3 weeks from this Wednesday, guys, Valentine's Day. I'm just telling you, warning you, whatever. Be prepared. 3 weeks from this Wednesday, Valentine's Day. Ken Friend at Friend and Company Fine Jewelers, Maple Street, Carrollton section of Uptown, near the Riverbend. He's got you set with real natural diamonds. What she wants, that lifetime purchase. It's what she wants. Real natural diamonds, diamond stud earrings, diamond tennis bracelets, diamond necklaces. Hey, guys, diamond engagement rings. New Orleanians that know Friend and Company Fine Jewelers when it comes to real natural diamond engagement rings. And every price point can be met. Thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. Ken Friend and Company Fine Jewelers have an entire room dedicated to real natural diamonds. Everything in that room under $1,000. Yeah, for a few $100, guys, you can walk out with real natural diamonds from Friend and Company Fine Jewelers on Maple Street in between Broadway and Carrollton. Think Friend and Company Fine Jewelers, because 3 weeks from this Wednesday, Valentine's Day, her day. The Louisiana legislature, kind of the final vote, the Senate vote, 27-11, final passage, creating a second black majority district. Kind of bad news, I would say. Kind of a reasonable, common sense, sort of moderate Republican in my viewpoint. Garrett Graves is going to be out. Let Lowe is much more extreme, more like Jeff Landry. I guess you extreme evangelical folks like this probably think Garrett Graves is a rhino or something. Looks like he's out. That's not a good thing. And then the Democrat could be Cleo Fields, and that's definitely not a good thing. I mean, this is what we get. There needs to be a second black congressional district. Cleo Fields is the best we can do? Really? That's just disheartening. The mayor's trip to Dubai, her and Officer Vappy only. By the way, Vappy, $14,000 for airfare and hotels, meals. I guess so. They went to Dubai. I'm going to like Gretna. Fridays with Fletcher Mackel joining us next. Michael Hecht about 30 minutes away from Greater New Orleans Inc. That's always brought to you by Latrim. Frank Brigtsen in the 5 o'clock power hour. The usual suspects on a fantasy Friday afternoon. Corey Johnson with you, New Orleans. The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Did you know Rouse's sells only Angus beef? Angus beef's natural marbling means more succulence and flavor. Whether you choose Rouse's USDA Prime, Choice, or Select, it'll be only Angus beef when you get it at Rouse's. Tastes like home.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, "Hey, what can I do to give you a hand?" He said, "Well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place." So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool, New Orleans. NOLAAC.com is your cool spot.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes, a magazine as unique as you.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
The French bread of the city of New Orleans. Good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer French bread.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans Inc. will join us in about 30 minutes Frank Brigtsen, I should say, from Brigtsen's Restaurant, will join us in an hour in the 5 o'clock powwow. Hey, every day we broadcast live from the Buddy Diliberto River City's Total Maintenance Studios. Tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, we'll wake up to freezing temperatures in New Orleans, South Shore, North Shore in the 20s. If you need heat help today, this afternoon, tonight, overnight, tomorrow, anytime over the weekend, weekday, weekend, overnight, holiday, River City's Total Maintenance has you covered. Honest air conditioning and heating experts that come immediately. If you need heat help, NOLAAC.com. That's all you need to know. If your heat's not working right, worse, not working at all, NOLAAC.com. Every day we broadcast live from the Buddy Diliberto River City's Total Maintenance Studios. He's following in Buddy D's footsteps. Buddy D was where, Fletch? At Fox 8 and Channel 6, right?
Correct. He was at WDSU first. Yeah, I believe he was at WDSU. Was he first or second there? Yeah, he was at both of them, obviously, and then he was at the radio station. So, yeah.
Was it like a Buddy D, Roe Brown, Vince Marinello deal, I think?
It was. It was Buddy D. It was Vince. It was Roe, and it was Ed Daniels too. They had like 4 sports people for a while.
Wow.
At WDSU, yeah, back in like the 80s. It was like that was like 80 to 90 or something like that. So you're right. I think you're right. Buddy D started off obviously at DUE and then moved to DSU and then moved to the radio.
Ed's still doing it. Roe Brown's still around. There's no doubt about it. Of course, Buddy D passing. Where's Vince Marinello these days? All right, let's move on. Fletcher Mackel's with us. Another edition of Fridays with Fletch. Fletch, before we get into sports, everybody wants to know. I just say that for radio. Really, no one cares at all. Where have you eaten good lately? Anywhere interesting or an oldie but goodie anywhere?
So it's funny you ask. I ate at a little neighborhood place last night. I may have told you about it before. It's called like Arabella, like Arabella Casa di Pasta, like House of Pasta or whatever. It's in the like Marigny Bywater area on St. Claude, like right past the Roberts on St. Claude, like by the Hi-Ho Lounge in Siberia and stuff like that. It's a great little neighborhood pasta place that I go to sometimes, and it's really good.
It's the joint on the riverside, and the front has like an angle.
Yeah,
angled front entrance, sort of.
Yep.
Yeah, I always look at that and go, I don't know why. I'm like, more than like a lounge, I'm like, was an old furniture store or something. I have no idea what it was. Yeah, I've been over there.
You can tell the building the front of the building, it obviously was something other than a restaurant. I don't know what the history of the building is, but it was certainly not always a restaurant. But it's great. Look, it's a like couple that owns it, and they just do like these great simple pasta dishes for good prices.
Yep.
It's a good place, like good service, good food. Like, a simple formula for success. Just do good.
Yeah. No, I parked on the neutral ground, I think, which I just sort of was like joining the club. I felt like I was at the Zulu, social aid and pleasure club. Just park like everybody else on the neutral ground. I actually parked on the neutral ground. But there were like 50 other cars on the neutral ground. And then I got out of my car sober. And by the time I entered the place, I was high as could be.
Wait, I missed that. Say that again.
You could just smell weed on the street. It's like going from like Dauphine to like Irene's on like Bienville. I'm like, my God, my 93-year-old mom is high. It's like it's just it gets a little crazy. But no, I love that eclectic area, and I'm joking. Yeah. I might have smelled like clove cigarettes, but just music. I could hear like my left ear, I'm hearing music like a half block down, and then my right ear, I'm hearing music another half block down. Very young, very eclectic, kind of some folks I guess would say gentrification. I think it's rejuvenation of that neighborhood.
Yeah, no, it's great. There's a lot of great places down there. I mean, there's a place called Sui Jean Ree next to Bud Rips I've been to. I mean, I could go over and over and over them, but no, that's the one I ate at last night, and it was good.
Fletch, if you don't get this answer, there's something wrong with you. His mom lived in that neighborhood. He lived in his mom's house for a while. His favorite television channel was the Weather Channel.
Give me it again. I'm sorry.
Jeez and Pete's. His mother lived in the neighborhood. He lived in his mother's house in the neighborhood. His damn favorite channel is the Weather Channel.
I know. Sorry, right. Like John Ignatius Riley, right. I know. Confederacy of Dunces.
Jeez and Pete's. Oh, we're giving the wrong.
I'm sorry. I'm multitasking here.
I can tell.
You wrong.
I'm sorry. When you ask me a question, I'll pay attention. Right now,
It was a question. You should know. You should know who this is.
Question. Well, when I paid attention, I got it. I wasn't.
No, you didn't get it. You said Ignatius Riley. That isn't who I'm going after. I'm going after his favorite channel on a network was the Weather Channel. Lived in the Bywater neighborhood, his mom's house. Your old photographer, Peretti.
Oh, Steve Peretti.
Am I wrong on any of this?
No, you're right. I thought you were talking about like Confederacy of Dunces or something about like, I thought we were talking about
Steve Peretti and Ignatius Riley are similar.
That is true. But you're right. Steve Peretti was at Bywater, grew up down there by Vaughn, and he just went into the Saints Hall of Fame. So you're right.
And his favorite channel was the Weather Channel.
Yeah, you're right. His favorite channel was.
I would go to La Crosse, Wisconsin back in the 90s for Saints training camp under the Mora era. And Peretti would be in his room watching Weather Channel all the time, just on loop.
Yeah, he was definitely a fan of wanting to know what the weather. My thing is I want to know what the weather is. I just watched it and I just saw Margaret Orr do it. I don't know if I need the constant updates, so to say. I see it and I understand what it's going to be now. And then you know what? When I wake up tomorrow, I'll put the morning news on and I'll see Jim do it and kind of get another update. But you're right. Look, to each his own. I've never understood the people that need to get the weather updates. Like, what is it now? It's like, has it changed in the last hour? So, but again, to each his own.
Hey, Joe, can you do some editing real quick for me? I mean, in the distinct Fletcher Mackel voice, definitely I just saw Margaret Orr do it and also Jim do it. Pull those two cuts for me, especially that I just saw Margaret Orr do it. Thanks, Joe. All right, back with Fridays with Fletcher Mackel's with us. We will be taking that cut out of context, Fletch, just letting you know, okay?
Great.
Guaranteed. Hey, let me cut right to the chase. I'm going to jump a few steps ahead, and then you can just go. Last year, Andy Dalton just didn't have any sizzle, but arguably would have put up better numbers than Carr this year. But that doesn't sell tickets. You get Carr, big contract, rejuvenates fans. This year, I don't know. Was the offense bad down the stretch? I don't think so. Carmichael, the problem? I don't know. But I think you get rid of Carmichael, bring in a new offensive coordinator, you rejuvenate the fans. Are the Saints just sort of spinning their wheels, not really fixing any problems and just trying to sell tickets, or are they trying to improve the team?
No, I disagree. Like, I've never loved the we got to sell tickets, mantra. I feel like that's from a time and a place that doesn't necessarily exist as much anymore. I understand it exists. It's for franchises like the Carolina Panthers. When you've hit rock bottom, bringing your fan
look at the
base
Detroit game this year. It was half Detroit in the Dome. It exists.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But the thing is, that was Saints people selling their tickets to the Detroit fans.
That's right.
So you're right. But how many of those people actually say next year, I'm done. I'm finished with this. That's one of the things I'll be curious about. So I don't think this organization has gotten to that level of rock bottom, so to say. So I do think what they're doing is an effort to win. But here's the thing. I just feel like they are what they are at this point. Derek Carr is what he is. He's a good quarterback. He's probably never going to be great. they are a good franchise. Like, I had this big argument with somebody. Somebody's like, they're terrible, dude. They're terrible. And I'm like, see, that's the thing. They're not terrible.
You're right.
And they'll never be terrible. Like, the people out there are too good to be terrible. They're just maybe not good enough to be great. And so that's what the NFL is. It's very hard to be 13-4, 14-3. It's very hard to be 3-14, 2-15 like Carolina. The large swath of teams in this league are 8-9, 9-8. I mean, there's a chunk of them in maybe 10-7. And that's where the Saints are right now. The Saints are good enough and smart enough and competent enough to build to the middle to upper middle class. I just don't know if this regime is good enough to get them higher than that. And as somebody who's covered this team a long time, this is what I told somebody. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to say my perspective as somebody who's covered it for 2 decades and giving it context is this. Pre-Katrina, take away 2005. Katrina was a throwaway year. In 01, after they made the playoffs, 02, 03, 04, 9-7, 8-8, 7-9, 8-8. They're middle class. They had talent. They just couldn't break through.
Hey, Fletch, hang on. Hold that thought right there. Hazlitt going to the next era. Coming right back, New Orleans.
Look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Outdoor dining, Middle Eastern cuisine, under the oak trees, Lebanon's Cafe, some of the city's finest lamb chops and shish kebab, Carrollton at Jeanette by the streetcar barn, Lebanon's Cafe. For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Fletcher Mackel's with us. Fridays with Fletch. Sorry about that break, Fletch. Please continue. You were kind of fading out of the middle of the road Hazlitt era. Not bad, not good, and heading towards this latest era, I guess.
Yeah.
Or the previous.
Look, I know you may disagree with me, but here's the thing. Before Katrina, like I said, the Saints won their first playoff game in 2000. In 01, 02, 03, 04. Jim Haslett's a good coach, not a great coach. Aaron Brooks, Deuce McAllister, Joe Horn. I mean, dude, you look at the talent and you go, boy, that team had some talent. They could just never break through. And there were questions of, is Haslett the guy? Should he be fired? Should he make it? Like, should they go with Jake Delhomme instead of Aaron Brooks? There was all this. They were good. They were never bad, but they were never good enough to be great. And then Sean Payton and Drew Brees became force multipliers, so to say, to get this franchise to levels it had never been to before. NFC championship games, multiple division championships, certainly a Super Bowl, greatest offense in NFL history, all of that stuff. But now that those two are gone, unfortunately, and look, I'm not trying to make this an indictment on anybody. I think that they have regressed back into that kind of middle class. You know, that Peyton and Brees helped them punch above their weight in the NFL's middle class and move this organization into one that was considered one of the top 10 in the league, that was always considered a Super Bowl championship contender. Now, I tell people this all the time. There's nobody out there that's bad, awful, incompetent, terrible, fire them all. That's absolutely not the case. They will, like I said before the break, they will never be 3-14, but they may never be 14-3 again either, without potentially a new coach and a new quarterback. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Dennis Allen, patience is a virtue. He becomes the guy. I certainly hope that Derek Carr, maybe can find that second gear and shift into greatness. But I just feel like they probably are what they are. What we saw this year, 9-8 roller coaster, some good at the end of the season, bad at the beginning of the season. I just have a bad feeling that that's what it's going to be again next year. That it's going to be ups and downs. They're going to be 8-9, 9-8, life or death to sneak in at the end of the season.
When you had the Mora era, you go back to Bum Phillips, where at least the Saints had a legitimate football team. You had your boy Eddie, whatever, from the Dolphins as the GM. I forget his name. So they were legitimate. They weren't winning. They were close. 2 times they almost made the playoffs, but missed it. The Mora era was legitimate. You had Jim Finks. The buck stopped with Finks. No matter how anyone wants to play it, Tom Benson had to get a coach after Hazlitt. He had those 2 attorneys, Roddy and Rosenberg, that were his confidants as advisors. Dennis Lauscher was kind of young back then, but I'm sure had input. Loomis had input, there's no doubt. But Loomis didn't say Sean Payton and Benson said, okay, and that was it. There was more than Mickey Loomis with the Sean Payton selection. Sean Payton was the president, GM, and head coach, like a Bill Parcells. Loomis sort of was off to the side. What about now with the hierarchy? I mean, you have Loomis having to be the real general manager now and do that job. Or does Dennis Allen have some of the Sean Payton roles? I doubt it. So what about the structure and how does that affect the Saints organization?
Well, let me say this. I would push back a little bit on some of the way you set that up. I know for a fact that Mickey Loomis was actually the driving force behind Sean Payton to get him hired. That you're absolutely right. Mr. Benson was still alive and he was certainly involved. But I have been told point blank by the people that made those decisions that Mickey Loomis was the driving force and the one that pushed hard to get Sean Payton here. That Payton was his guy while others, including Mr. Benson, liked Sean, but they certainly liked people like Mike Sherman, and there was a serious discussion. But Loomis was the one post-Katrina that, so I'm going to give him a lot of credit for that, for picking his guy and sticking with him. But I do think you're right in the fact that I always say this about Mickey Loomis. One of the big things I think is a strength of his is he hires people he believes in, and then he empowers them to be great and do their job.
Yep.
He hired Sean Payton. He was the driving force behind Sean Payton to get him here. And then he told Sean Payton wanted Drew Brees. I'm not sure Mickey Loomis was diehard Drew Brees, but Sean Payton was. And he empowered him to go, okay, we hired you and I believe in you. Go get your guy. And then you're right. A lot of the personnel decisions, but Mickey wasn't off to the side. Again, I do think Sean Payton is a larger than life personality and is someone that was a driving force, like I just alluded to, is a force multiplier, to use that term again, that helped this organization reach new heights. But I don't think it's fair to act as if these people just were playing, solitaire on their computers while Sean did 8 jobs.
No. I agree. I'm just going to tell you a little story. You can take it however you want. I've hosted the Jim Fink show. He shows up with a Diet Coke, okay? Rattles off everything about every player just off the top of his head. I've also hosted filling in, like I did with the Fink show, filled in with the Mickey Loomis show. And Mickey Loomis has a depth chart with color stickers by players like great, pretty good, mediocre, for him to look at he's not a player personnel guy. He's not. There are people I know that evaluate football players better than Mickey Loomis can. And that's not my opinion. That's a fact. So Mickey Loomis knows his strengths. He's a cap guy, a contract guy, knows to, like you said, bring in the right people and let them go. But the structure's changed now. I'm just wondering how that affects this team.
I do think that, and again, that I think is better context for it. That, look, like Mickey is, does he know? He's been in this league for 40 years. Of course he knows football.
Exactly.
But he wasn't a player in the NFL. So I do think he hires good people. They had Ryan Pace for a long time. They have Jeff Ireland now. That they have another cap guy like Ty Harley. They had Terry Fontenot, who was a college football player. I think that, yes, that's what I'm talking about. He hires people, and Parrington now, who is in the organization, is a former player. And so I think he leans into them just like, they leaned into some of these people when Sean was there. Look, I agree. If Sean probably was in the room when they were drafting people, Sean's voice won out over others. But it wasn't as if Sean was controlling the draft and handling all of the
after those 3 straight 7 and 9s, Ireland was definitely listened to, but that was a, Sean Payton hire, or at the very least fully in on that hire. Yeah. Is Ireland's role, for instance, being increased? I'm just assuming Payton being the Bill Parcells type, president, GM, head coach. Dennis Allen is the head coach. He's not the GM and he's not the president. So I'm assuming Mickey Loomis might take on some of those roles, but honestly, I think he's probably letting guys like, Ireland expand their horizons some. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I guess that's what I'm asking, but the dynamic's different.
I don't think from Sean Payton to Dennis Allen, much has changed because look, Jeff Ireland has been there since 2016. Kai Harley's been there for 16 years. Mickey's been there for 20 plus years. I mean, I don't necessarily think that the roles change because, but I do think there was a more commanding voice in the room, so to say, of how things operate. And that's the point that I was making before. I think we're kind of getting to some of the common ground just in a different way.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Hey, Fletch, before we run out of time, I am blown away by John Sumrall. I mean, Willie Fritz did a damn good job, but the five-star quarterback, Thompson from Oregon, the five-star wide receiver from Alabama, the five-star wide receiver from Southern Cal, and then getting this high school kid from Alabama, this Jaden Lewis, who was Auburn, Mississippi State lean, grabs a four-star corner. Two things. Tulane's never had 4- and 5-star players, period, and I've never seen a 4-star cornerback recruit come to Tulane ever.
So the quarterback, Ty Thompson, that you're talking about, he was the highest ranked. And again, look, I get it. Prep recruiting, guys miss.
Whatever, exactly.
You know,
it is what it is.
But nonetheless, when Ty Thompson went to Oregon, he was the highest rated quarterback prospect to ever go to the University of Oregon, higher than Marcus Mariota, who won the Heisman and was the number 1 pick in the draft, and higher than Justin Herbert, who was a top 10 pick and is a great pro right now. So ability-wise, the bones of a great player are there, so to say. And then pulling in receivers from Bama and USC. Look, I sat down and did a one-on-one with John Sumrall, and he had me ready to run through the wall to go play. I mean, this guy, I think, is going to do some great things. I would not be surprised to see Tulane in the college football playoffs this season in 2024. I think it's going to happen.
No, I wouldn't doubt it. I know you're right. It seemed like it was a rebuilding thing with all the players leaving and attrition and going to the NFL and following Fritz to Houston, and Sumrall's come in and just taking names and kick some butt. Yeah, I had him on Tuesday on the program. Same deal. He gets you fired up. Fletch, what do you guys have going out on Channel 6 over the weekend?
Yeah, a lot of Pelicans, obviously. Football winding down into the offseason, and Pelicans won 8 of 11, massive game tonight. Another game this weekend. So yeah, a lot of Pelicans coming up for us.
Fletch, always a pleasure.
All right, Corey. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. That's Fletcher Mackel, Channel 6 Sports. Knows what he's talking about. Not scared to give an opinion. That's why we get him on Fridays. When we come back, Michael Hecht joins us from Greater New Orleans, Inc. I wouldn't move if I were you.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria.
Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
For over 120 years, New Orleans' very own Leidenheimer French bread.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa, and now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville. The Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
What actually lasts a lifetime? Not much, but at Helm Paint, we have something guaranteed to last a lifetime. Benjamin Moore's Regal Select. This paint and primer in one offers cutting-edge waterborne technology, smooth application, and long durability. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, your New Orleans paint store.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets has daily lunch specials Monday through Friday, and their entire lunch menu is available too. Open 11 a.m. through 2:30 p.m. For the finest in Sicilian and Italian cuisine, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com. Are you beelining across the causeway heading north right now to the Mandeville, Covington, Madisonville, Lacombe, Bush, Folsom area? You know, New Orleans North Shore. Trey Yen's waiting for your phone call. It's Friday. Walking in the house with a huge to-go order from Trey Yen, grand slam home run. The whole speckled trout or whole flounder, local fresh speckled trout, local fresh flounder. They usually have both. And I don't know, that's a hard choice. Couple of the best eating fish in the entire world. They take the fish, debone it, the head and tail intact, flash fried to perfection, and then ladles and ladles of their signature Tung Cho sauce. Joe, I think he's calling us. Ladles and ladles of the signature Tung Cho sauce on that whole speckled trout or flounder. So head and tail intact, both fillets, signature Tung Cho sauce, sweet yet spicy. Pretty damn good. Whole speckled trout, whole flounder, Tung Cho, Trey Yen, Mandeville. Chinese cuisine, not Chinese food. Trey Yen in Mandeville. Frank Brigtsen's going to join us in about 25 minutes. James Beard Award-winning chef. I love visiting with Frank on a Friday. Talk some food, what's cooking, all that good stuff. The Louisiana legislature, final passage, creating a second black majority district, congressional district. A judge has to approve it. Garrett Graves, Republican, looks like he's out. Cleo Fields could be in. That's not a win for Louisiana, no matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat.
Hey, Michael Hecht joins us from Greater New Orleans Inc. This segment always brought to you by Latrim, the global manufacturing giant, hiring at their Elmwood facility, hiring at their I-12 facility on the North Shore. For a full listing of positions available, go to latrim.com. Latrim spelled L-A-I-T-R-A-M, latrim.com. Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans Inc. joins us. What's up, Michael? How you doing?
Good, KJ. You know, a week ago we were just coming out of our annual meeting, and so it's been nice to have a week off to come down from that 1,500 person wedding.
Yep. Yeah. No. Exactly. You guys killed it at the Hyatt, packing that ballroom. Looking back on 23, looking forward to 2024. Hey, any good news? Anything out there that kind of gets the economy rolling? Any announcements that you can make?
Well, we're gonna have a big renewable energy announcement in one of the river parishes coming up over, I hope, the next couple of weeks with a European company. So that's good news. We had the ITEP approved for an electric battery manufacturer out of Japan in Jefferson Parish, approved this week. So that's great because that'd be our first foray, not into building electric vehicles, but the batteries for them, which you could argue is better because then you're selling shovels to the gold miners instead of looking for gold. Had a dinner last night with a tech firm out of the West Coast that seems very interested in expanding here. That's early stages, but they couldn't believe that we have this 25% incentive in Louisiana. So it feels like the pipeline overall is good across the board. Certainly on the energy side, it's bigger than it's ever been. Tens of billions of dollars, largely in energy projects.
Hey, Michael, you're in this business. You know what CEOs are looking for, where they go, why they go to these places. There's some base kind of items that are always going to be in play. And then I think there's some that are sort of, I don't want to call them secondary, but maybe not like first or second thought, but still almost primary things. I almost think they're trendy in a way. And I guess what I'm getting at is, I'm going to use Houston as an example, just because I was there about a month ago. Houston is a economic juggernaut. Harris County, more population than Louisiana, 7 million plus folks, high rises everywhere, money everywhere, economic opportunity everywhere. All right. Houston is a nightmare. It is traffic everywhere. It is horrible infrastructure, broken streets and highways that aren't big enough, cars, people everywhere, very crowded. And now 25% high-rise Class A office space vacancy, 25%. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, how they sustain this 40-year growth. I coupled with people going, I'm trying to be nice about it. God, these places sort of suck.
Is that your nice?
That's my nice, quick, short, and frank. I mean, strip joints and strip malls forever. Look, I know a lot of affluent, nice neighborhoods and multi-million-dollar homes and money to be made. I get it. It's just anywhere USA. It just seems like, hey, I'm going to go to New Orleans and I'll deal with some of the crap, but boy, it beats Houston, Atlanta, or Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to somebody about this, Corey. If we are able, when we are able to take our basic blocking and tackling up to a level of, I don't know, C+, B-.
How about like Canadian Football League level?
Right. The sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
Yep.
Only what's happened in recent times is the combination of the infrastructure challenges combined with the crime, combined with things like insurance costs, made people tip over and say, I'm going to take bowling and come back to Jazz Fest. We just got to bring it back in the other direction.
There's Blue Boy. Do some homework, Michael. I think we get a few positives. Momentum could roll where it's like an avalanche. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week.
You to you, my friend. Happy Mardi Gras. Ciao.
That's Blue Boy
You're on
saying
the
stick
Neutral Ground
around.
with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers Breitling time, 5 p.m.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NOLAAC.com, your cool spot.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
For us, it's really relationships. And if you care about the relationship, you're going to do the right thing for the customer all the time. When we're in design process of a custom-made piece, I have a test that says, if I wouldn't give this to my wife, I think we should pass and start over. If it's not perfect, it's going back to the shop. We're going to start all the way over. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Susan Spicer joining us on the program.
Even when they presented me the award, the people that I look up to the most, Frank was there and Donald Link was there. It does cause you to reflect back and think about your whole career.
Maybe the Celebrated Award says that to you, like I've arrived.
It certainly is kind of the ultimate honor when it comes to cooking and hospitality in New Orleans and the world.
New Orleans style talk gumbo, served daily.
Doesn't get much better than that, huh?
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Helm Paint, let us do you right. Helm Paint and Supply.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamarck team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamarck Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all of the time.
Ooh la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
5 generations, family owned and operated. Leidenheimer French bread.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Making your way in the world today takes everything.
I noticed they had a Cheers reunion lately. I'm trying to think who did not show. I think Shelley Long did not show up for it, and someone else didn't show up for it. I forget why. Anyway, we normally would be airing the Neutral Ground with me, Corey Johnson, the 5 o'clock powwow on a Fantasy Friday, but some dopes upstairs wearing suits said, hey, let's play reruns of Cheers. I was like, dude, you can check that out on Nick at Night or something on cable. And then they said, you're right. So I won. Which means you win. No Cheers. You can check that out somewhere else on YouTube if you like. Yeah, you're right.
Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for her, Johnny?
We got the Neutral Ground for you. Corey Johnson with you. A Fantasy Friday edition of the Neutral Ground. It is the 5 o'clock powwow. You know what I love about the 5 o'clock powwow? Few things. It's a few minutes after 5 p.m. on a Friday. That means for most of us, 100% of the work week in the books. For most of us, 100% of the weekend smack dab in front of you. We recognize this very time of the week by blowing the 5 o'clock whistle. We recognize this very time of the week by blowing the 5 o'clock whistle? The 5 o'clock whistle brought to you. That's right, it's sponsored. Appropriately brought to you by Katie's in Mid-City. That's right, the quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant, a true taste of New Orleans. Big portions, great for sharing. More is better, more of the good things, like Scott Craig says. New Orleans specialties, old school, from po' boys to pizza. A Mid-City mainstay. Corner Iberville at Telemachus. A couple of blocks behind Angelo Bricata's ice cream joint. It's Katie's in Mid-City, as New Orleans as it gets. The 5 o'clock whistle, appropriately brought to you by Katie's in Mid-City. Yeah, you right. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Thanks so much for joining us. It is where New Orleans talks. Got a good one lined up for you in just a few minutes. Frank Brigtsen's going to join us live from his Riverbend restaurant, Brigtsen's. James Beard award-winning chef Frank Brigtsen. He's been at it for nearly 40 years at Brigtsen's. Like 38 years, I think, maybe in March. He'll let us know in a little while. And then, of course, at Commander's Palace, and in between Brigtsen's and Commander's, K. Paul's. He's been at it for cooking 55, going on 60 years. Frank Brigtsen's going to join us in about 10 minutes, like he does every Friday, from Brigtsen's restaurant. So damn good. You know what's great about Brigtsen's? It is a high-end, world-class restaurant. But I'm telling you, like, if, you know, high-end restaurant prices, say, are like a 7 to 10 on a 1 to 10 level, Brigtsen's is like a 6 or 7. They're like the low end on pricing. Every salad could be $2-3 more. Every appetizer could be like $4 more. Every entree could be $6, $8, $10 more. It's moderately priced. It's reasonably priced, especially for what you get. It is world-class, high-end New Orleans dining, and just fantastic. You know, I'm a creature of habit, but I'm telling you, you go into Brigtsen's, you get the barbecue shrimp appetizer. I don't know if there's any example of this that's better anywhere. And they're peeled. And if you're like Corey, then they can't be great because the head and tail, that's where the flavor is. Frank uses the head and tail when he's making the sauce. So that flavor, that fat's in there. The shrimp are peeled. They have this little fritter cake because that barbecue sauce for the barbecue shrimp is just so rich. And then, you knock it out and people at the table are running their bread through the sauce. The plate looks like you could just put it back in the stack and serve, as a clean plate to somebody. It's just the barbecue shrimp at Brigtsen's, as good of an example of that dish anywhere in the world. It's incredible. And I'm not knocking Manali's, the originators of that barbecue shrimp dish. That's sort of the, originator dish, kind of the, the folks that came up with it. And then Brigtsen's took it to this like different level, gourmet level, high-end level. It's just incredible. You start with that. You get some andouille gumbo. It's Paul Prudhomme's andouille sausage with some Bell and Evans chicken. The chicken, Bell and Evans, is just a chicken that's no hormones ever. And it's air chilled, never dipped in that like water that most chickens dipped in. It's just high-end chicken. So Paul Prudhomme, andouille sausage, this Bell and Evans high-end chicken with no hormones. Maybe the best chicken and andouille gumbo anywhere. And then it's speckled trout or flounder with the meuniere and the pecans, not almondine, with the pecans. And then staying on that pecan theme, I get pecan pie dessert. That's my 4-course meal at Brigtsen's almost every time. I deviate from it sometimes. But I mean, my God, so good. Barbecue shrimp, just out of this world. Chicken and andouille gumbo, out of this world. Speckled trout or flounder, pecan meuniere, wow. Pecan pie with the caramel sauce, homemade, the crust, the whole pie. Wow. And moderately priced. Frank Brigtsen's going to join us in a few minutes. If you missed the 4 o'clock hour, Fletcher Mackel joined us. Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans Inc. joined us as well. The Louisiana Legislature, Senate, final passage, creating a second black majority congressional district. It makes sense. Louisiana's population, 33% black. There are 6 districts. Do the math. 2 of the 6 should represent the population. One day these things won't matter, but today they do. You can thank Whitey, the white man in the past, the racist, hate-filled white man of the past, for all this. It's like, this is a bad example. It's like when you could drive from one place to another with like a beer between your legs in the car because you're not drunk. It's like a beer. But, some drunk ran over a bunch of people at the bus stop and ruined it for everybody. That kind of thing. Anyway, the math makes sense. 6 congressional districts. Louisiana's 33% black. It was 5 majority white, 1 black. Should have been 2. That's what it is. A judge still has to approve what the legislature passed. It essentially eliminates Garrett Graves' seat, who some Republicans in this state, I guess, consider a rhino. They like Letlow better. Letlow's a little more wacky right wing. Garrett Graves is just a conservative Republican. I guess some would consider him a moderate. So Jeff Landry, I guess, isn't a fan. Garrett Graves' seat is out. Letlow stays. But then Cleo Fields looks like the favorite on the Democratic side to fill that black majority district. The Cleo Fields a generation ago stuffing $20,000 to $10,000 wads of cash down the front of his pants,
handed to him from Edwin Edwards in Edwin Edwards' office. Little did both of them know the FBI had a camera in like the ceiling air vent recording the entire transaction. Cleo Fields taking the 20 grand and stuffing it down the front of his pants. He's going to be our next U.S. congressman, most likely. Well, it just sucks. That's Louisiana in a nutshell. You lose the moderate Republican who the right-wing evangelical, wacky right-wingers are calling like a rhino. And there's no Democrat liberal anywhere that thinks this guy is anything but a conservative Republican. Rhino. So silly. And then the trade-off is the moderate Republican for the former criminal Democrat, Cleo Fields, and an Edwin Edwards type. Just not a good swap. Not working out too well. The mayor's trip to Dubai. Good job, Fox 8. Was it Fox 8 or Cassie Sherman, Channel 6? It might have been Cassie Sherman, Channel 6. $14,000 airfare, hotel, fees, meals. That was for Officer Vappy. It was strictly a LaToya the Destroyer Cantrell, a.k.a. Junket Cantrell, Officer Vappy trip. Those two alone in Dubai. Corey Johnson with you. Fantasy Friday. Frank Brigtsen is next.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
When a young man comes in and they walk into our store and you can see they're a little intimidated. Last week, I saw the young man. I said, hey, what can I do to give you a hand? He said, well, I'm here for an engagement ring, but I don't think I'm in the right place. So I got him to my desk, and within an hour, he had purchased an engagement ring, had spent $1,000, and he was treated like he spent a lot more, and I'm sure we have a customer for life. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Served in New Orleans' finest restaurants, Leidenheimer French bread. There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NolaAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NolaAC.com, your cool spot.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Fausto's Italian Bistro on Veterans Boulevard, where the brothers Fausto and Roland are serving some of the city's finest Sicilian and Italian cuisine. From New Orleans' first family of Sicilian and Italian cooking, Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson with you on a Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Rouse's Markets. You heading home from work on a Friday? It's going to be cold tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, like 30, 31, 32 degrees, freezing overnight. Tonight, tomorrow night. North Shore, even worse, colder in the 20s. You might want to hunker down in the house, stock up on the treats, the goodies. Head to your Rouse's Market. Best quality, best price, best selection. Tastes like home. Rouse's Markets. Over 60 Rouse's. You heading home from work? You probably pass 2 or 3 Rouse's Markets before you head to the house. Pull into one of those Rouse's. Get stocked up for this chilly weekend. Supposed to warm up next week, like 60s all week, but some rain expected for multiple days. So this weather roller coaster, my goodness. Freezing temperatures early in the week. It was crazy on Tuesday. I mean, what was it Tuesday again? It was silly. 27 Tuesday morning feels like 14. That was this Tuesday. 27 on the South Shore feels like 14 with the humidity and wind. And then we got up to like 65 yesterday. And then tomorrow morning and Sunday morning, it's going to be 30. Just crazy. Yep. Corey Johnson with you. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. I was mentioning this Wednesday, 3 weeks from this Wednesday, Valentine's Day. 3 weeks from Tuesday's Mardi Gras. 3 weeks from this Tuesday's Mardi Gras. 3 weeks from Wednesday, Valentine's Day, which happens to be Ash Wednesday. Guys, Friend and Company Fine Jewelers on Maple Street, real natural diamonds. They have a room dedicated to real natural diamonds. Everything in it under $1,000. For a few $100, you can get a real natural diamonds this Valentine's Day from Friend and Company Fine Jewelers. Valentine's Day, 3 weeks from this Wednesday. Friend and Company Fine Jewelers, Maple Street, in between Broadway and Carrollton. The Riverbend section of New Orleans. Speaking of, let's head down to Dante Street, about 50 feet off River Road, Leak Avenue, right on the Mississippi River. They've been at it, I want to say it'll be 38 years later this year. This guy can tell us for sure. Frank Brigtsen joins us from his restaurant, Brigtsen's. What up, Frank?
Corey, TGIF.
38 years?
38 years this coming March 6th.
Wow. That's incredible. Congratulations, Frank.
Thank you, man. I still remember the opening night. We did 72 covers.
Wow. How long from cooking at K. Paul's to opening Brigtsen's? How big was the gap?
5 days.
Literally, you're cooking on the line at K. Paul's in the quarter, and then you say, K. Paul, thank you so much. 5 days later, Brigtsen's opens.
True story, man.
And Paul Prudhomme helped finance Brigtsen's for you. It's amazing. You're his number 2. You're Mr. Spock, and he kicked you off the Enterprise. He said, here's a little cash. I'm going to lend you some money. You got to go be captain of your own ship.
Yes, he did. He and Kay lent us the money and support to open Brigtsen's. And I remember one of my last days there, I was sitting at his table, we were talking, and he said, Frank, here's your last paycheck. You better get open quick.
That's great.
So we did. 5 days later, man, I was running ragged, man. So much stuff to do. 5 trips to City Hall, black circles under my eyes, but we did it.
I'm assuming a few months of prepping to get that done, and you working at Cape Paul's, and when you weren't there, you were getting the restaurant going, and then your wife Marn and her sisters and others were getting it going for a few months before you opened?
No, it wasn't like that at all, man.
Wow.
We signed the lease. And that's when we could get in the property, and we opened 5 days later.
What was in there before you guys?
A restaurant called Dante by the River.
Dante by the River? I remember, what was wasn't there Dante Cafe or something across the street from you at one time?
Yeah, same owner, Miss Isla Pope.
Oh, it was Isla Pope from Louisiana. What's the place on Louisiana Avenue? Cafe at Chafalaya?
Yeah, that's right. She opened at Chafalaya.
That's the Mississippi lady, right?
Exactly. She left here and went to Bay St. Louis and opened a restaurant called Dante by the Bay. And then shortly thereafter came back to New Orleans and opened Cafe at Chafalaya.
She was a sweet lady and could cook.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing.
Yep, she did. Where's Isla Pope today? Is Isla Pope still with us?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Wow. And now it's a restaurant right across the street. Wow.
We had a going restaurant to move into. The kitchen was kind of bare bones. We had to make some changes, and then over the years, every year, do something more to get it where it worked for me. But we were able to do it, and it's been great.
Were there any concerns about it not working? I remember I've told you stories that my father was good friends with Warren LaRuth, and you could kind of tell Warren LaRuth like the concept of the restaurant, and then he wanted to know how many square feet the restaurant was, how many tables, how many people it sat, and right then and there he'd tell you if you were going to make it or not.
Yeah, he was that smart. He really was. But I had no conception of that at all. I knew nothing about business, really. I just knew how to cook. And Paul understood that as well. So he set me up with his CPA, Bo Parent, who was fabulous. And Bo, we did monthly financial statements, very, very detailed. And every month we sat down for a couple of hours and went through everything, and I learned. He taught me what's important in the business, and I'll never forget that. As an owner, that's a lot different. An owner chef is a lot different than being a chef. During the day, sales going to be coming in all the time, and all kinds of stuff to take care of. And I just wanted 5:30 to come so I could get on the stove and cook. I just wanted to escape into my cuisine. And eventually, over the years, I became to appreciate the business side of it and understand, of course, the importance of it.
Yep.
You can be the best chef in the world, but if you can't do it profitably, you won't be the best chef in the world for very long.
Or you got to go work for somebody.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot to be said for owning your own business.
Yep.
There's freedom there you can't find any other way. And you may not be making as much money or have the benefits of working for a big corporation or whatever, but there's an intangible happiness there that I think is priceless. It's the American dream, right?
Yeah, of course. No, you're right. Frank Brigtsen's with us from his restaurant, Brigtsen's. Hey, Frank, a standalone place. It's not a rarity. There's a bunch of mom and pops and restaurants like that. But boy, something that's changed the last generation or so, these folks that own multiple restaurants. I mean, it started with like the celebrity chef types, like the Emerald John Besh types, the Donald Links, right. I guess. But now there are these folks that could be the Corey Johnson group. Like, I'm not a chef. I'm a businessman, or I'm an investor. Yeah. And then I hire people that know the restaurant business. But there's probably a handful now, it might be like as many as a half dozen,
that own, half dozen or more restaurants each, like these groups. I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, like a commissary instead of the restaurant doing it and that kind of thing. So I guess there's good and bad with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. It depends on, like, I've always thought that it depends on the personality of the chef. I had offers over the years to do things, and I looked at them all. But I didn't feel like I was a multi-restaurant type person. And my family members are definitely not multi-restaurant people. We had Charlie's for a while, and everybody was all in, and we worked hard. And when it ended, it was a little bit of a relief. We're proud of what we did and everything, but it's really hard because we're so hands-on and want to offer personalized service and personalized food and be a part of it. That's the joy of it to me. I would never have a restaurant group. That's not my style at all. I would never sleep.
Three things I think about your restaurant and great restaurants, especially the standalones. Three things. One, great food. Two, consistently great food. It's the same great food every time. It's not dropping off. It's not the sauce was thin. It was thick. It's what it's supposed to be every time. And then the third part, what you're mentioning, the face-to-face, making people feel good, hands-on, that kind of thing. I don't know. I kind of like that. It's like the local hardware store. I walk in like, hey, Corey, the big box store. I say, where's something? They're looking at the sign that I can see that says, screwdrivers. It's, I kind of.
Yeah, that's right. And there's room for everybody in all styles.
Yep.
But you bring up a great point. I think for many generations, New Orleans, the backbone of our economy has been independent small business. And, you have to have whatever it is that takes to do that. Fortitude, dedication, a dream, a vision, and work hard at it every day. It doesn't get any easier, I tell you that. After 38 years, it's not any easier at all.
Some of the dishes you make, Frank, you've mentioned in the past how they're, I remember one of the crawfish dishes. You're throwing the crawfish in the skillet, like right at the end. They're not getting soggy, that type of thing.
Right.
That's a big difference too. These places with the commissary with 10 locations, they might be 10 different restaurants, but 5 of them serve gumbo. So they make the same gumbo at the commissary, and then it's in a bag, and they heat up the bag, and it's that kind of thing. It's not you're the opposite. We throw in the crawfish right at the end. There's kind of the dead opposite of it.
Minutes before you get it.
Yep. But anyway, I don't know. I guess good and bad, and you got to feed the masses and price points and all that kind of stuff. But I prefer the hands-on. I like the standalone, that kind of thing. What you got?
I agree.
What you got cooking tonight at Brigtsen's, Frank?
We have been selling so much gumbo and butternut shrimp bisque. I'm glad I got a lot of soup cups because that's what's going this week with all the cold weather. I was in my grocery store earlier in the week, and Marna had requested a quart of beef stock for some stew she was making. So I go to the stock aisle, and it's like wiped out. There's 5 people over there. And I said, wow, everybody's making soup. And the lady said, no, it's gumbo weather. I said, oh, of course it is. Of all people, I should know that. So that's really what's happening. And
tell us about those 2 soups real quick.
Yeah, well, the butternut shrimp bisque is simple ingredients. It's fresh shrimp, onions, butternut squash, peeled and diced, shrimp stock, and cream. The key to it is in the technique. We cook down the onions and butternut squash until it's almost mushy and it's sticking to the bottom of the pot. That's where you develop the flavor. Like in a lot of soups, the first steps are the most important. And then we add the shrimp, the stock, the cream, and then puree it all. And so It's just a lovely soup, very unique. The flavors married like peanut butter and jelly. And the gumbo is, a Cajun-style gumbo that I learned from Chef Paul. I didn't like it in the beginning because it didn't have any okra or seafood, but I love it now. It's my favorite dish on the planet. Filet gumbo with chicken and andouille sausage, and it's Paul Prudhomme's andouille sausage. And the filet is cooked into the broth, so you get the filet flavor through and through, deep dark brown roux. And, to me, classics are classic for a reason. And I never, ever get tired of that dish.
Now the chicken and andouille gumbo, other people make it. Yours is uniquely yours, obviously. The butternut squash and shrimp, that's Brigtsen's original?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I've never heard of that anywhere else.
No, it is. It was inspired by something we did at Cape Paul's at one time. We had visited Wolfgang Puck's restaurant in L.A. to do a fundraiser for March of Dimes, and he was a produce specialist. I mean, he had stuff we'd never seen before, and at the time, we didn't have butternut squash on our radar or delicata squash or things like that. So turban squash. So Chef shipped in a bunch of squashes from California, and we started experimenting with them. And one of the things he created was a sauce for veal, and I made a veal stock, like a demi-glace, really, a strong veal stock, and they added butternut squash and shrimp to it. No shrimp, just the butternut squash, and then cooked it down, and then put it through a food mill. So I have this thickened veal broth, thickened with butternut squash, and then we would saute shrimp and add that to it and put that over the veal. And I thought the combination was lovely. And so I love soup so much. The flavor experience stuck with me. And that's kind of how my ideas develop. You get a little inspiration somewhere, and you just kind of subconsciously file it away. And then it comes back at a time and place when you wouldn't expect it.
Coming back, how about bringing back that veal dish?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Jeez and Pete's.
The veal dish we've been running has been so popular, and we in the kitchen just love it so much. It's sauteed veal scallopini with oysters and a brie red peppercorn sauce.
Now I was talking about the one with the butternut squash and shrimp.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Oh boy,
this one's too good to take off, honestly.
No, I know.
One thing that's new this week is that we do not have any speckled trout or flounder, so we don't have meuniere in the menu. Fish is very limited this week because of the weather across the country, the East Coast, and the Gulf. So there wasn't really a fish that I thought would work with that technique, so I just took it off the menu.
I mean, it's either speckled trout, flounder, or drum. That's about all you can use, right?
Yeah, that's all I use, and I don't try and force the issue,
Yep.
If I could get a really small red snapper, I would use that, but it's not available.
That's good, too.
So we just did without it, and we still have the broiled Gulf fish, which is striped bass, with crab crust and a lemon crab sauce. That sells like hotcakes. Our pork chop is rolling out of there still. This is a pork chop with apple cider pan gravy and sweet and sour red cabbage, and my mom's warm German potato salad made with Newski's bacon from Minnesota. Terrific stuff.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. Any openings at Brigtsen's tonight or tomorrow night, Frank?
I think there's some openings on the late turn, and when I say late, I'm only talking about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, you guys go 5 to 8:30, right?
Yeah, 5 to 8:30. 8:30 is our last reservation. 8 o'clock's better for us. But the first turn is always the busiest one. Since the pandemic, people are eating earlier. So we get rolling right away into a full house. And then if there's openings, it's usually on the second turn.
861-7610 is the phone number at Brigtsen's. Put it in your phone. 861
7610. 861-7610. Any final thoughts till next week, Frank?
That's it. Y'all stay warm. Take care of your pets and plants and pipes.
Yep, no doubt. It's going to be a little chilly overnight tonight and tomorrow night. Frank, always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Corey. We love you, New Orleans.
Frank Brigtsen, James Beard award-winning chef, world-famous restaurant, as good as it gets. 861-7610. Get a table at Brigtsen's. You won't be disappointed, I promise you. Hey, New Orleans, when it's time to paint, we all know Helm Paint and Decorating, just part of the fabric of this city. Bunky Helm, late 60s, like 1960, 1970. Started Helm Paint and Decorating right there where Rock and Bowl is. Earhart and Carrollton. Now they have a brand new building. They built a brand new building right behind there. It's probably like 15, 20 years old now with the drive up in the back. One of their 7 Metro New Orleans locations. But you can go online, pick your Benjamin Moore colors online from Helm Paint and Decorating's website. Call one of the 7 locations. They'll deliver everything you need right to where you're painting. Free 2-hour delivery anywhere in Metro New Orleans. 7 locations, East Bank, West Bank, North Shore, like Mandeville, Hammond. When you got to paint in Metro New Orleans, hey, Tiger Town. That's right, Baton Rouge. When you got to paint in the capital city, 4 Helm Paint and Decorating locations now in Baton Rouge. And just like New Orleans, free 2-hour delivery in Metro Baton Rouge. So when you got to paint in Metro New Orleans and when you got to paint in Metro Baton Rouge, do it once, do it right. They'll steer you in the right direction. Helm Paint and Decorating. Yeah, you right. Frank Brigtsen just joining us on the program. If you missed the 4 o'clock hour, Fridays with Fletcher Mackel, Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans, Inc. on this Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Hey, Lebanon's Cafe is open right now, and they're open till 9:30. 7 days a week, 11 a.m. till 9:30. Outdoor dining, indoor dining, to-go orders. Some of the city's finest Middle Eastern food. Shish kebab, lamb chops. Lebanon's Cafe.
You're listening to The Neutral Ground with Corey Johnson.
Cotton Bowl winning coach Willie Fritz joining us on the program. Have you ever been part of a game that great?
A lot of things happen in the game. You just don't know the script. You got to adapt to improvise. You just got to keep playing hard the whole time, and our guys did an excellent job of that.
How big is yesterday for the overall future of the program?
You got to have the guys who really have a burning desire to get quality education and also be a great football player. You got to have both.
You've always have embraced New Orleans. You've been a great ambassador for the city, for Tulane University.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. My wife and I just love it here in New Orleans. And just everybody, the city's just sensational. It's a dime for a person who came up to me after getting, I had tickets in the old Tulane Stadium. And, I've heard that a ton of times. And then, that's good that we're able to make some people happy.
That's Willie Fritz joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Roll wave.
The spirit of New Orleans. It's Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot. River City's total maintenance keeps you cool. NoAC.com, your cool spot.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center. It's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof. Now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
From the owners of Katie's in Mid-City and Bienvenue in Harahan, an old school deli with over a dozen specialty sandwiches. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria. Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
Oh, boy. Corey Johnson back at you. Yeah, you're right. Oh, if we had a microphone and camera in during that break, one of us would be going to jail probably, and the other would be getting bludgeoned by some people, beat up with bats and sticks. Oh, Joe, there needs to be like an emoji, like embellishment, exaggeration, inflection, sarcasm. I told you that Sheba Turk one, huh? I mean, just did not go over well. Like Eric Paulson's calling me. Sheba Turk's on Twitter and just, tweeting just nonsense or whatever. What outfit she's wearing, whatever, that kind of stuff. It's like, aren't you a reporter or anchor? Anyway, I know I'm dogging beloved Sheba Turk, whatever. So she just put something about like, I'd like to have a child. And I just reply back something like, I can assist on that if you'd like, just like total joke. But it came out like they didn't read it like, I can assist on that if you like. Ha ha ha. They read like, I can assist on that if you like. Now I'd keep doing the for about another 30 seconds because that's what is required to how they felt. It's like, okay, dude, enough. No, literally, I think Eric Paulson called me or texted me. I don't even know Sheba Turk. It's a joke. It's social media. But she can go out there and be like, look, pink outfit. That's okay. Dude, quit dogging beloved Sheba Turk. Oh. She is in Los Angeles now, anchoring in L.A. The Louisiana legislature final passage creating that second black majority district. That second congressional district, that's the way it's supposed to be. 6 congressional seats. Louisiana's 33% black. There should be 2 black congressional seats. There will be. Here's the problem. The wacky Republicans with their crazy agenda. This Letlow woman, this congressman, she's kind of heading towards Clay Higgins a little bit. Just sort of, I don't want to be that insulting, but kind of, a little hardcore evangelical wacky right. Garrett Graves is kind of a Ronald Reagan Republican conservative. But the wacky right, because they're wacky right, they think, I guess, Garrett Graves is like a rhino. Jeff Landry doesn't like him. So Letlow's congressional district is going to stay. It's Garrett Graves that will become majority black. So Graves is most likely out. Where if I'm a Republican, I would prefer Graves over Letlow. But I would also, if I were a Republican, I'd be a moderate Republican. I'd be just sort of a middle-of-the-road Republican, not one of these wacky right-wing evangelical extremists. Anyway, so that's the bad side from the Republican side. Here's the bad side from the Democrat side. This black majority district, the best the Democrats in Louisiana can do, it appears, Cleo Fields. I mean, it's just pathetic. That's where, like, Dr. Martin Luther King's like, this isn't what I had in mind, you know? But in a weird way, it is. It's a weird equality. It's like, hey, black politicians can win office now, and they can be crooked like their white predecessors. That's sort of the sad part about it. All white politicians aren't crooked, and all black politicians aren't either. But some are, and it's like, hey, why not? Whitey was doing it for so long. Cleo Fields, a generation ago, caught in Edwin Edwards' office in Baton Rouge. Edwin Edwards handing him $20,000, two $10,000 stacks of money with the little band holding them together, and Cleo Fields stuffing them down the front of his pants. And there was an FBI video camera, like in the air conditioning duct in the ceiling, catching it all on video. You can check it out to this day. Go to YouTube. Cleo Fields stuffing $20,000 down the front of his pants. It's ridiculous. You know, but we don't believe what is where the facts are in Louisiana, especially when it comes to something not logical, brainwave, driven, but emotional, like politics. We believe what we want to believe, what we hope is true. We want to believe Cleo Fields has changed, or that was the only time, or it was Edwin Edwards, or he's a good guy, or he's going to do good for us, blah, blah, blah. All I can say is in New Orleans and Louisiana, I'm right on this like 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10. Black or white, Republican or Democrat, when you cling to that, and that's what we cling to in Louisiana, black and white, Republican and Democrat, we lose. We fail miserably. New Orleans is extreme left-wing, hyper-woke, failing city. Louisiana, right-wing, wacko, evangelical, fail miserably. We don't have any, give or take, work with the other side, no flexibility. All extreme or nothing. And folks continue to embrace it like it's the right way. Embracing Jeff Landry like it's going to be any different from Bobby Jindal. It's going to be worse, maybe. Who knows? But, I want to believe it's going to be good, not look at Jeff Landry's record and where you think it's going to go. Joe, I'm going to say, anywho, and then segue into this Fausto's commercial. Fausto's is open for dinner till 10 p.m. tonight. Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets. Do you like Sicilian and Italian? Who doesn't? Fausto's Italian Bistro on Vets. Open till 10 p.m.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
Since 1896, a true taste of New Orleans, Leidenheimer French bread.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, insagency.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa. And now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville, the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Hi, everyone. It's Tommy Wrong for Asbestos.MoneyGrab.com. This is not, I repeat, not for folks with real asbestos problems. But if you're like me and we're maybe taking a shop class in high school where you maybe breathed in some brake dust and you know for certain you're fine, but you're the type of person that takes advantage of these types of situations, get tested, lawyer up, and steal some money like me. Go to I'm not really hurt at all, but like exploiting the system for free cash.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Being a part of people's lives, from an engagement ring to a wedding band. Before you know it, the wedding day is here and groom and bride are exchanging gifts on that day. And not too long after that, there's baby gifts to have. And I just enjoy being part of other people's family, saying, Mr. Friend did my engagement ring and he did my mom and dad's engagement ring. My name is Ken Friend of Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen. You know, it's Friday. You can look back on the week. Did I have any Leidenheimer French bread this week? You'll be like, oh, yeah, I did. I had a po' boy earlier this week, Leidenheimer French bread, because it was an authentic New Orleans po' boy. It was a great po' boy, a real New Orleans style po' boy. Had to be on Leidenheimer French bread. I went to a kind of high-end type restaurant. Piping hot Leidenheimer French bread brought to the table, wrapped in the tablecloth in the napkin, keeping it warm. Picked up a to-go order from a restaurant, had the little mini bag with the mini loaf of Leidenheimer and a big old to-go thing of butter, like half a stick, room temperature butter. I threw that Leidenheimer mini loaf in the oven, heated it up piping hot, and I knocked back about 90% of that mini loaf. 90%, Joe. I threw the little end away, did not eat it all. Felt like proud. Did not use the entire half stick of butter. One less pallet besides the half stick. Leidenheimer French bread, so good. We love it. Good to the last crumb, literally. Leidenheimer Baking Company since 1896, baking that Leidenheimer French bread right here in New Orleans for over 125 years.
Yeah, you'll be enjoying some Leidenheimer French bread. Might be tonight, tomorrow, Sunday, early next week. Soon enough, if you're in New Orleans, Leidenheimer French bread. Corey Johnson with you. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. It is here. The weekend is upon us. Tomorrow morning and Sunday morning, we will wake up on the South Shore, 29, 30, 31, 32 degrees. Overnight freezing temperatures. That's tonight, tomorrow night. North Shore, even more severe cold. What's that, Blue Boy? Protect me and my friends. Pets, plants, pipes, people in need that need to be checked on. Yep. And we'll only get to the 40s. It's going to be a cold weekend. See you Monday. Rain and warming up next week. Have a great weekend, New Orleans.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson. On TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube. On radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM. WSLA New Orleans.
Hi, it's Ken Friend from Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. You've got a friend in the jewelry business. Come see us over on Maple Street in Uptown.
Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, Breitling time, 6 p.m.